Freddy Peralta, who, if he were a free agent right now, you would say he probably would get the most money.
Easily.
He would be the top guy. Now, it looks like for the Mets, they're going to look to extend him, and they should. But the price point probably is going to start at a minimum of 33 to 35. That's the starting point if you're going to do minimum. I think he's going to try to push for that 35 and get 5 years, maybe 6, maybe 7, more than Cease. Yeah. You can argue that because he's been great. And he had his best year in the last X amount of years, but it really his best overall year last year on the Brewers team that was the best in the National League. So Freddie goes there, but then it makes you think, all right, they just made this trade. So does that mean Framber Valdez to the Mets is no more? Now, people think that, Zach. People think the Framber Valdez move would signal that the Mets are out. And the Mets, good for them. They've repieced. They lost a lot of pieces, but now after losing Diaz and Alonso and trading Nimmo, they have now brought in Devin Williams, Bo Bichette, Freddy Peralta. This team got better. Cody Bellinger went back to the Yankees. They got better. The Blue Jays landed Cease. They have some pieces. They got better. Now, the Orioles did as well. Pete Alonso, Helsley, Taylor Ward in a trade, Shane Baz in a trade. They've gotten better. But are they still missing one piece? And I think it leads, Zach, there's a tweet out there from Bob Nightingale.
Yeah. I don't have it right now, but yeah. So Bob Nightingale tweeted out that it seems as if the Baltimore Orioles, your Baltimore Orioles, are kind of viewed as the next team to get this frontline pitcher. And let's use some connections. Let's connect the dots.
Let's connect the dots.
Let's connect the
Let's
dots.
do it. Connect the dots.
Orioles seen as big team, last team kind of remaining. Hey, they're the team. Let's go get the next guy. Framber Valdez, kind of seen as the last big name. Now, if we're talking, being able to trade, yes, Zach Gallen's out there as well. But it seems like that's been the connection. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, there's been a connection before we even stepped foot into the offseason, because all anyone could talk about is, hey, Framber, Michael Elias was in Houston when they got him. In fact, we know that this isn't the first time the Orioles, even though a different regime, have been interested in Framber Valdez. We actually had Jim Duquette on, who talked about back in 2015, 2016, when they almost traded Zach Britton to the Astros for a young prospect, Framber Valdez. So there's always been connections, but I think there's writing on the wall. And I'm not saying it's going to be Framber. I'm not saying it's going to be Gallen, but the Orioles do need to make a move. Mm-hmm. Is it Verlander? We all know I disagree with that as your one piece. If you get Framber, Gallen plus Verlander, we're cooking with grease. We're cooking. But it does beg the question of, it looks like, I'd put the tweet out there, you stay in line long enough, eventually it's your turn. And it looks like it may be the Orioles' turn. They have been in on everyone. They have made contract offers. They have been from the beginning Mike Elias, one of the first things he said, he's like, hey, I'm going to give you guys a checklist and we're doing all these things. He's checked off every box. You can check off. I'm giving a half check on the starter because I think Baz can be that.
Yeah, no doubt.
But there is still that, hey, there's one last box that maybe we'd like to get a nice big old green check mark with. And it seems like Framber or Gallen fits that mold.
One of those two, it feels like, has to end up in Baltimore just from connecting the dots. And now if the Mets are out, that's the only other team in my mind that could throw a wrench in this, because there's always a sleeper team that no one's talking about right now. Like the Phillies.
The Rangers.
The Rangers, but they just made a move.
Well, no. But my whole point was because I saw
because of the trade,
like you didn't see any connections of the Rangers are
correct.
In on Mackenzie Gore,
yes.
And then they make that.
Yeah. So in this case, right there, no one knew that Gore and the Rangers were talking. It happens. Yeah. It's the team that you sometimes don't hear anything about. And even with Kyle Tucker, you heard that the Dodgers were interested, but then it said it's really Mets and Blue Jays, and then he goes to LA. In this case, like, I know Dave Dombrowski said, the Phillies are, they're set, they're comfortable. Doesn't mean they're not entertaining ideas. And there's other teams out there that are thinking the exact same thing. Toronto now missing out on some guys. Like the Blue Jays ain't done. They're at least not done exploring. But with that being said, Zach, I still think if you were trying to get into a bidding war with some of these teams, only if the Mets were still in it, then you're competing with the Mets and one other team. But you take the Mets out, well, then it seems like if you would want one of those guys, if you would want Valdez or Gallen, he's there for you to take.
Yeah.
He's there. Now, again, there's questions. I get it. But to me, when I look at the value now, Gallen and Framber Valdez, of those two pitchers, Gallen will probably take a short-term deal. I don't see how he doesn't at this point for what he want to try to prove, what teams want to possibly give. He doesn't want to take a discount, in my opinion. And why would he if he thinks he's going to bounce back? Take a good value deal, get back into it in a year or two if you have an opt-out or whatever it is. Framber wanted to cash in. So Framber, to me, the only way I'm seeing how it can be constructed is I still think a 3-year, $100 million deal is very appealing to him. And why wouldn't it? If you said, Framber, 3 years, $100 million, that's $33 million a year, 3 years, you get in, get out, and maybe with that deal, Framber would want an opt-out then. If it goes to 4 years or 5 years, my guess is Framber's camp would say we want opt-outs involved. Yeah, actually, if he goes to 5, it'd be a lower AAV, and then probably, actually, they would want the commitment from him. Who am I kidding? Shorter-term deal would have the opt-out. I still think 3 years gets it done. 4 years is solidified, yes. But now I'm just wondering, what is that price point looking like?
I think, but here's the thing, is I think you also have to, as people who talk about this, not reporters, but as people who talk about this, it's wrong for us not to bring up when discussing Framber Valdez and talk about, hey, there are concerns about what happened last year in Houston. And I think the talent is there. If we're going off straight talent, I think he should have been the first one off the board. I think he should have been the guy everyone was bidding for. But we're to the point now where do you think, it's just going to be intriguing to see what he gets. I would not be surprised. I know you talked about it. Does a team come in and just wow him away, give him 2 years, $80 million with an opt-out after one? And they're like, hey, we'll give you $40 million next year. And then go like each. I
know that I think that I get your point, but I think that's too high. I think if it's 1 year, it's like $35 million. Just because the market to me, if they were to go higher on annual or average annual value, if Ranger Suarez or Ron Hare Suarez, if he got $26 million a year on a shorter term deal, I could see it bumping up 5, maybe 7 if I said $33 million. If it was 3 years, $100 million, that's 33. But I can't see it, Zach, going past 35 for what Ranger is, because you're saying he's $9 million more. And $40 million, no pitcher is getting $40 million, right? Dylan Cease got 30. I think 35 would be the cap. I think 35, if you want to entice him, that's the cap. But clearly, guys, just like what we've seen with players, Bellinger was looking for a bigger offer, settled for what the Yankees had with opt-outs. I think Framber, it's teams aren't budging, and he's going to have to make a choice here. And Zach Gallen, I think it's not a matter of choice for Zach. He's going to have to take a shorter-term deal for his value. I don't think he's going to settle for anything else if he believes where he's going to be. So it's a fascinating conversation, and maybe we'll ask the crowd, would you be surprised if the Orioles didn't sign Framber and you found out it was a 3-year, $100 million deal that would get it done? Again, this is hypothetical. I don't like playing hypotheticals, but today, Brad, we're playing the hypothetical game. 3 years, $100 million. I would be shocked if he signs elsewhere that's not Baltimore for that deal. That's just me. Time will tell. But the hot stove is finally cooking. You know when you go into an apartment building and you smell other people's cooking?
Oh, yeah.
That plus crap. That's a movie quote. Zach, you want to take a guess?
Austin Powers.
Crap.
Actually,
Yeah, so Fat Bastard said it. You know, when you go into an apartment building and you smell other people's cooking. And you go, what are they cooking?
Flowers.
Yeah, that plus crap. But we're going to find out. The stove is heating up.